Welcome back, everyone. Today, we've got a truly special explainer for you. Now, usually, we're breaking down complex data or diving into some dense research, right? But today, we're looking at something entirely different. We are diving into this incredibly heartwarming real-life story written by a man named Phil. Phil actually wrote this first-hand account of a very special day. It was the wedding of his support worker, Chris, to a lovely lady named Madge. And let me tell you, it is this raw, unedited, just incredibly profound snapshot of community, love, and friendship.
So think about this for a second. What happens when you mix a sunny beach, a karaoke setup, a cat named Haley, and a very nervous groom? Well, you get a beautifully quirky, deeply authentic celebration of life. See, Phil's storytelling, it doesn't rely on fancy prose. It relies on absolute honesty. And through his eyes, we get a front row seat to this unforgettable beach wedding that is absolutely going to make you smile from ear to ear.
Section 1. A sunny beach wedding. Let's just go ahead and set the scene for this magnificent day.
Phil actually opens his account exactly like this. He writes, Chris's wedding on the beach, it was a lovely sunny day, and Chris, my support worker, was getting married to a lovely lady called Madge. He also points out that Chris looked very smart for the occasion. And, what I really love about this opening is how quickly it establishes the bond between the author and the groom. Because Chris isn't just some friend, right? He is Phil's support worker. Yet on this beautiful sunny beach, those roles of care and support are just kind of flowing in every direction. Phil even mentions he could hardly believe Chris was getting married to such a lovely woman.
Now, Chris goes on this massive emotional journey throughout the day, which Phil captures just perfectly. Right at the start of the ceremony, the beach is totally packed with friends and family, and Chris is, he's terrified. Phil observes that Chris was very nervous and literally looked like he was going to faint. It's that classic, totally overwhelming pre-wedding anxiety. But by the end of the story, after the vows and all the celebrations, Phil describes Chris as smiling still like Captain Smiley. It just brilliantly illustrates that immense relief and pure joy of crossing the threshold into married life.
Section 2. The eclectic guest list. Because, let's be honest, a wedding is really nothing without its guests. And this particular guest list is absolutely fantastic.
Okay, so this was definitely not your standard family gathering. This was a true collision of Chris's entire world. You've got Clive, the best man, standing right by his side. You have Chris's mom, his auntie, and other family members who, as Phil makes sure to note, were just so incredibly proud of him. But then, check out the rest of this list. All the other support workers were there, dressed up in their special wedding outfits. Some of the people Chris supported professionally actually turned up to support him personally. Haley B. and Tina were there, overjoyed for him. And yes, even Haley the cat made an appearance on the beach. I mean, it's just this beautiful, eclectic mix of lives intersecting.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the familial dynamic of this whole group. Just take a guess, affectionately known as Debbie Duck, for example. She was talking about how she had mothered Chris over the years, and joked that with Madge stepping in, she would now be out of a job. It's such a sweet, humorous little moment that really shows just how fiercely this community cared for Chris long before he ever met his new wife. They were his village, for sure.
Section 3. Karaoke and big surprises. Once that ceremony wrapped up, the real party started out there on the sand.
Let's map out exactly how this reception unfolded. So after the vows and a big kiss on the lips, the wedding party didn't just stand around chatting. No, they went straight into beach karaoke. Phil proudly notes that he and Chris took the mic together. Phil played some of his cool songs, and everybody had a dance right there on the beach. It's a scene of absolute unpretentious joy. But then, right at the peak of the celebration, Madge had something pretty major to say.
His new wife turned to the crowd of friends, family, and support workers and dropped this absolute bombshell of a surprise. I am pregnant.
As you can imagine, the crowd completely erupted. Phil captures this collective shock and joy beautifully. He writes, "Wow, everybody went, 'Congratulations, mate, buddy.'" And then Phil, in this moment of pure, supportive friendship, told Chris, "I always knew you would make a good father," which is just such a validating thing to hear from someone you care for. Phil also joked with Chris that there would be no more single life for him now that he'd made that commitment. It was just this moment of immense overflowing celebration on that sunny beach.
Section 4. Promises for the future. As the initial shock of that wonderful news started to settle down, we focus in on these quiet, deeply sincere promises made between friends.
Phil goes on to share what is arguably the most touching line in his entire account. Chris told Phil, "Cheers, Phil, you're a great man. Don't stop being your lovely self." And in response, Phil made this absolutely beautiful declaration of enduring friendship. He said, "I will still be supporting you in Shaftesbury, so don't worry. I will be here till I am old and gray." Think about that. Even though Chris is married now and about to be a father, Phil is assuring him that his old support system isn't going anywhere. It's a profound, beautiful promise of loyalty.
And Chris's response to that is just wonderfully grounded. Comforted by Phil's words, his attention returns right back to the woman of the hour. He says, "I best go and talk to Madge, my new wife. I will give her a big kiss on the lips." It's such an endearing, genuine reaction, isn't it? It just shows his total focus and devotion to his new bride.
Section 5. Just married in York. As the sun sets on our story, we reach the end of the day and the beginning of Chris and Madge's new life together.
So the beach party finally winds down, and the farewells were, of course, incredibly emotional and happy. Chris's church friends offered up lots of prayers for the couple. Then, in classic wedding style, they hopped into a limousine with a just married sign on the back and drove off toward a lovely hotel in York for their honeymoon. Everybody was yelling, "Enjoy your holiday!"
Riding in the back of that limo, Phil gives us this little glimpse into Chris's thoughts. Chris was thinking, I have this lovely lady who will care for me now. After years of relying on support workers like Phil and being mothered by friends like Debbie Duck, Chris felt this deep sense of peace and security with Madge. He was, as Phil noted earlier, still smiling like Captain Smiley. And Madge reassured him right back, calling him her darling and promising to look after him.
And then we get this absolute gem of a quote from Madge. She tells Chris, "I will make us some dinner. I will get you looking like a man and get you having a six-pack. We will do this together and lose weight together." I mean, it's funny, it's highly specific, and it is overwhelmingly sweet. But really, the most important part of that sentence isn't the six-pack, right? It's the phrase, "We will do this together." They're a team now, ready to tackle their future health and happiness side by side.
Wrapping up the account, Chris replies, "Thanks, wifeys. We have our baby to think of as well. It's just the perfect bow on the evening." And then Phil steps in to deliver his charming sign-off to the text we've been exploring today. He writes, "It's been a fantastic day today, a story, and the wedding on the beach by Phil." He clearly takes pride in documenting this milestone, and rightfully so. He completely captured the essence of a perfect day. We spend so much time analyzing massive societal shifts, big data, and complex global events. But Phil's story? It reminds us of the profound beauty found right in our local communities, our friendships, and the people who show up to support us. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. What small, everyday stories of community and friendship in your own life deserve to be celebrated just like Chris and Madge's big day? Think about your own Phils, your own Debbie Ducks, and your own Captain Smiley moments. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.